Paul Trump called us from the Zelenskyy meeting, and this the tea you need to know. All right, so I kind of got to the call a little bit late because I've been doing a bunch of shit today. But the biggest thing that everybody around the table talked about was securities guaranteed. And one of the ladies, I forget who she was, but she kind of explained what a securities guarantee was. The securities guarantee essentially is you're going to, how do we make sure that this not going to happen again? Like, if we make a deal with you, how do we make sure that this is never going to happen again? So the call started off with Trump just talking about, okay, this is the agenda, this is the next, since we've spoken, and I've spoken to both parties, I think, these are the next, this is the plan of action or the next steps. So essentially he said they spoke, they came up, everybody seemed like this is something that they want to do. Both parties seem like they want to make a change. So based on that conversation, next will be a trilateral meeting with Zelenskyy, Trump, and Putin, maybe, but between Putin and Zelenskyy for sure, because Trump has gathered that they both want to make a deal. He's the mediator in this situation. So those are the next, and then he said, and then next after that we can get some negotiation, and then hopefully we can get this war to end. So that's how it starts. Trump just kind of laying the next steps after this couple 3-4 hour meeting that they had. Then he goes around the table and allows people to speak, asks people to speak. And one thing that everybody kept saying is the one that they want peace. There were some people who were very adamant about there being a securities agreement in place before anything else can happen. And like, I want to say this is kind of my opinion, but I want to speak as well as these people, because they were disagreeing. Like, it appeared, if you just looked at it and you didn't know what they were saying, it appeared that they were all in agreement. But at the end of the day, they weren't, because Donald Trump, so after he went around the table and more than one person made the statement, yeah, we can have this three-way meeting, but we won't have, and we shouldn't have, and it's a very important negotiating point that we not have any other meetings until the killing stops. And Donald Trump kind of came back and said, I can't promise that. He kept saying, listen, we might need to just skip straight to negotiations. Like, ain't no, the killing won't stop until we negotiate. And then they saying we won't negotiate until the killing stop. I don't know how Volodymyr Zelenskyy feels about that, but I know that the council and the people that he brought to the party with him was not having it. They like, we don't want to sit at the table with somebody actively knocking people off, because this war not only affects Volodymyr Zelenskyy, but it affects all of us. So it was all European leaders. So there's that. All right, let me look at my notes. Anything else? So he talks to the head of NATO. Trilateral meeting. What else? Hold on, let me look at my notes. I will say they was kind of giving Trump kudos, but I don't know if they was sideways kudos, because they essentially saying, like, well, this is new. Like, for the last couple of years since this started, Putin has never wanted to talk, but he's ready and willing to talk now. So thank you, Donald Trump. And my opinion, again, I don't know that that's what's tea. I don't think that y'all ever seen the telephone game? I think some shit getting lost in translation, but we'll see. What else? And I think they need to include in a securities meeting what happens if they do have a securities agreement and Vladimir Putin breaches that agreement, because he's a breacher. What is the punishment? And okay, so that's pretty much the whole meeting. My question is, like, well, one, they said, like, this is a table of, I don't know where these gnats is coming from, but it's blowing me, bitch. But everybody around the table was Team Europe. For them to say that, so it's Team Europe and the United States, essentially against Russia is what they said. But are they? Is that really the tea? And I don't really trust Volodymyr Zelenskyy giving Donald Trump his plans, because how we know he's not gonna just take his plans and give them to Putin? You get what I'm saying? I just don't trust it at all. And I know I'm American and I love American, but I don't trust Trump to do this. And so with this, the only reason why I say I might trust Trump to do this, and this is for the purpose of the only reason why I say I trust Trump to do this is for the purpose of the Nobel Peace Prize. And you can tell when somebody trying to push something. Because he kept saying, I've settled 6 wars. Because apparently he stay in the news, like, in order to get the Peace Prize, you have to do some humanitarian shit. So he said he ended a war in Congo, and then I was waiting for him to say the other 5 wars that he ended, but he never named them. And so he was like, in addition to those wars, this will be the hardest war to end. So if I went, if I ended, this would be huge. And one of the prime ministers, I think the prime minister was like, if you get this done, this will be monumental in future years. I don't think he's going to get it done. And he also said, this could not go. It could be no deal. So we just got to see if we can get the 2 heads of state in the room to have a conversation. And I don't know that it's a good idea to get Zelenskyy in a room with Putin if there has not been a ceasefire. Putin has to give something. Marco Rubio said if he doesn't give anything, it's a surrender. Putin has to give something. Putin doesn't want to give anything. He doesn't feel like he has to give anything. So I'm interested, and I think the rest of the world would be interested to see if Donald Trump can get Putin to give. And he might be able to get him to give if there was some backhand negotiation, like, okay, you do this for me, you give on this, I get this Nobel Peace Prize, and I give you something on the back end. That's my conspiracy corner. But that's the summation of like what they told us about the meeting. And I will say this was a very different meeting. The energy was different. The power was different. Trump spoke first. You get what I'm saying? Why he didn't have that energy for Putin. And that's my question. But I will say he do talk about people, but don't never say it to their face. You get what I'm saying? He switched up his tune on Zelenskyy, because now they was being real nice to Zelenskyy. Even the dick-eating boy who was talking about the way he was dressed was like, you dressed nice. As Zelenskyy got him back and was like, but you wearing the same shit you was wearing last time, boy. Fuck. Anyways, so that's the tea you need to know about Zelenskyy coming to town. So the next steps are to hopefully secure a ceasefire. They calling it a securities agreement. And I believe in a securities agreement, there is a ceasefire. And if they can secure a ceasefire or a securities agreement, then President Putin and President Zelenskyy will meet and possibly bring in Donald Trump. However, if they don't secure a ceasefire, there's still a possibility that Putin and Zelenskyy will meet. But the people that were at the meeting didn't feel like that was a good idea. If there's a meeting with or without a ceasefire, what comes next is negotiations and a deal. If they can come to terms on something that's constitutional, legal, and they both give something. Yikes.